live. And happy Monday, everyone. Listen, it's so crazy because I could have found every reason to not have book club today. But I am committed to growth. I'm committed to my own personal growth. And I was like, even if nobody joins me on book club, I'm going to be there because, although I listen to podcasts all the way home, what's up, Lanisha? I listen to podcasts all the way home. Personal development on the way home. There's still that moment that you've got to take to go into a book, to take some time to grow and develop yourself. And so book club is not just for you, but it's for me also. And I am so excited on this Monday. We're fresh. I'm just back from Philadelphia, literally just walking in the door not too long ago. I've had enough time to unpack some of our stuff and water our plants, go through our packages. And then I was like, I'll get to the suitcase later because I am committed to my own personal growth and development, and I am committed to yours. And so let's make sure that we're letting people know that we are live on book club. We want you to tag and share and to let everybody know that book club has started. And I'm assuming that people must have thought I wasn't gonna have book club, and I don't know why people would think that. I am one of the most consistent, committed people I know, right? And so we're reading The Power of One More by Ed Milet. Thank you so much, Tracy. We're reading The Power of One More by Ed Milet, and we're actually almost finished the book. We are currently in chapter, I think this is 17, 15. No, I think we crossed over into 16. We did. We're in 16, one more, and my 11 leadership principles. What's up, Kathleen? And so we read 1 through 5 in reference to the leadership principles. And when we start off this chapter, it says, the test of an organization is not genius. It is the capacity to make common people achieve uncommon performance. What's up, Robin? That right there. The test of an organization is not genius. It's not how smart a person is. Hey, Miss Brenda, it is the capacity to make common people, that's me and you, everyday, ordinary, average people, achieve uncommon performance. And that is why I love personal development so much, because you literally can really be self-taught. I mean, between books, podcasts, YouTube videos, you can be self-taught. And I'm realizing now that it really is about helping common people do uncommon, extraordinary things. And so we're on number 6. Let me repeat or go over so far what the leadership principles. There are 11 leadership principles, and so far we've gone through 5. We've gone through number 1, become an evangelist. Number 2, listen and observe. I know that's so hard, right? 3, wise leaders build other leaders. Number 4, love, believe in, care, and show people how to live better. Leadership principle number 5 is repetition, repetition, repetition. And then principle number 6, which is where we're starting today, in The Power of One More by Ed Milet, happens to be generous with recognition. Constantly look for ways to recognize people. If you're going to build a great organization, it needs to be predicated on competition and recognizing achievements. All great organizations are competitive. They foster that mindset. And acknowledge accomplishments. Recognition is critical. Recognize people for being one more thinkers and doers. Recognizing people for being one more thinkers and doers is a great form of leadership. Conversely, if you're not creating an environment where competition and recognition are important, you miss out on maximizing potential in business, family, or sports. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Effective leaders are great at acknowledging and recognizing people. This leadership principle is so easy to implement, but it's also overlooked way too often. That shouldn't be the case. Remember, as a basic human need, people thrive on recognition to feel significant. And so, we were away this weekend, and one of the reasons why we drove is because we had so many gifts to give people. We gave out gifts to just people that were in the room. We gave out gifts to our CEO. We gave out a very special gift to him and Stanisha Graham. We gave out gifts to, you know what? It was important for Paul and I, and not that we thought that like it's not a big rank or anything like that, but we had two of our business partners that hit a rank called gold in our business, and they were the first to do it, Keisha. And so we got them a gift as well. And they were like, you didn't have to do that. And it wasn't about us having to do it. It was about us wanting to do it, because we wanted them to know that we don't overlook them. We don't take them for granted, and that we appreciate their efforts and making sure that they also follow suit and leading from the front. Does that make sense? So I've discovered that while people often equate recognition with significance, what they really want is love. After all, in many people's minds, recognition is a form of love. Remember when we were kids and our parents recognized our efforts when we brought home an A on a test or hit a home run in a ball game? Our need for recognition was a way for us to hope that our parents would acknowledge they loved us even more. As adults, we never lose this basic human need. It's hardwired into our DNA. That's why everyone you meet wants to be loved, cared for, believed in, and have you show them how to do better. As a leader, people look, wait a minute, let me see. How right, yeah. As a leader, people look up to you. What you say matters. Your words are oversized. Good evening, and what may seem like a small offhand comment to you can mean all the difference in the world to people under you. Always find a way to be encouraging. Find ways to praise people publicly and privately. There's something incredibly powerful about lifting up a person in front of their peers. There's also an incredible but different kind of power that comes from recognizing someone with a one-on-one personal and sincere thank you. As a leader, also be creative with your recognition. Not all of it needs to be based on pure performance. Some of that recognition can be based on executing core principles. You can also acknowledge people who do the small things, like showing up early or showing up to work every day over the course of a year. Awards, plaques, and all manners of verbal or written acknowledgement are highly effective ways of recognizing someone. I like to write personal letters to the children of the mothers and fathers of people who work for me, letting them know how amazing their parents are. This is a form of recognition that almost nobody utilizes. It's constantly trying to find unique and innovative ways to recognize the people that I lead. It's important to create this kind of culture. Remember, one of the 6 basic needs is significance, if you see chapter 15. And a key element of that recognition, another basic need, is love. And when you give people recognition, it extends a form of love to them. All right. So, number 7, leadership principle: have a cause, crusade, and a mission. Show me any great organization, and I'll show you one that is cause and mission driven. These places are single-minded and ferociously focused on their end game. As a leader, when you create a mission and convince people to buy into it, this is another form of meeting a basic human need. In this case, that need is contribution. It's also a huge element of being evangelical when people are asked to rally around a cause bigger than themselves. Let me tell you something. I just said this weekend while we were in Philadelphia to engage in a vision that's much larger than yourself. And I will promise you, if you desire to have success, you must engage in a vision that's much larger than yourself. You can't always drink your own Kool-Aid. That we've got to look at how we can best serve other people if we want to win. So, where are we at? A mission has 2 components. What are we for? You must define what you believe in and then inspire people to rally around this crusade. What is our mission statement and our core values? What are the elements we believe in and how do they contribute to us creating a great place to be? What are we against? A mission has to have an enemy. There needs to be something you're against. For example, if you lead a food bank, then you're against hunger. If you own a gym, your enemy could be obesity. Think of it like being part of a sports rivalry, like the Red Sox and the Yankees, or the Lakers and the Celtics, or the Cowboys and anybody else, right? Y'all know that that's a big one. The Cowboys and anybody else, rivalry against anybody else, right? If you're for one team, then it's safe to bet, it's a safe bet you're against the other. It's one thing to win a championship, but that goes to the next level when you're playing against your rival. The best enemies are usually something you're trying to eradicate or change. As a director of a women's shelter, you're working to end domestic abuse. If you own a wealth management company, you could be trying to change how people invest money or eliminate bad financial decisions. The stronger or more emotionally driven you make both components, the easier it is to lead those who buy into them rather. Also, like a leader for any great crusade, you must make it a point to stand in front of your troops and lead them. I'm going to say that one more time. Like any good leader, like a leader for any great crusade, you must make it a point to stand in front of your troops and lead them. You cannot, hold on one second, y'all. Hold on. All right. So hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Paige is asking me a question. I need to say that one again, y'all. You must make it a point to stand in front of your troops and lead them. That is so vitally important. You cannot lead from behind. You cannot lead from beside. You must first go in front of your team. Then, after you go in front of your team, you turn around to guide them so that they can then go past you. But you must first go in front of your team. You can't lead a team from behind. You have to lead a team from your example. Does that make sense, y'all? You must be willing to take the hits. See, what happens with leadership, when you're in front, you take the hits first. You fall in the ditch first. You make the mistakes first. So that now you compress time for the rest of the people that are following you so they don't have to take the hits. They don't have to make the wrong turns. They don't have to fall in the ditch. They don't have to hit the brick wall. Does that make sense? You must be visible and vocal, that you're willing to shield those under you from criticism or people who want to harm or undermine your efforts. The perks of leadership fall upon you the most, and so should the burdens as well. See, people want the perks of leadership. People want you get into the rooms. People want you sit at certain tables of leadership, but they don't want the fact that you get busted in the face first too. So principle number 8, I'm gonna leave it alone, is to be authentic and humble. If you're a liar or a phony, the people that you lead may not say it, but they'll know it. And I will tell you this, I'm gonna throw this one in there for free. You might be able to get away with it for a moment, but that don't last long, because the reality of it is that people can see BS far off. So you can fool a person for a little bit, but you can't fool them for long. When it comes to leadership, telling the truth is everything. People will accept that you're not perfect. However, they won't accept that you're not honest. I'm going to say that one again. People will accept that you aren't perfect, but people will not accept that you are not honest. When you make a mistake, don't try to hide it, acknowledge it. You'd be surprised at how much you endear yourself to people when you simply say, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, and I'll do better next time. When you can be truthful about your own performance, you can also be truthful about other people's performance. When you're not authentic about yourself, it's very difficult to create an environment of openness. So when you fake and you walk around facading like you're doing, like you're somebody that you aren't, and it's so amazing. I was telling my dad on the way here, we were having some conversations, and even yesterday while I was visiting with them, and I said, it's almost sad that there are people that really, because on social media, you can be anybody. But once you spend, Stanisha said, give a person 90 days. She said, because in 90 days, a person's going to show you exactly who they are. And most times they do. They'll show you whether they are immature. They'll show you whether they're emotional. They'll show you whether they're lazy. They'll show you whether they really, really are passionate. They'll show you whether what they say, it's like all good when, oh, I want you to coach me. And then, they'll show you. Give a person 90 days. And so as a leader, it is very important for us to understand, if you're just honest when with the people that you're leading, because they don't expect you to be perfect, but they expect you to be honest, right? When you're truthful about your own performance, you can be truthful to other people. So now this is saying you can't tell somebody else about their stuff if you're not honest about where you are. All right, come on, y'all. We're going to principle number 9. Create a culture. People are drawn to an overall environment. They want a culture. Hey, Robin Ball, we missed you this weekend. They want a culture where a mission, goals, and expectations are clearly defined. A well-designed culture takes into account all 6 of the basic human needs and how to meet them. Culture creates certainty. Somebody type that in the chat. Culture creates certainty. I'm going to sip my water. Culture creates certainty. That was powerful. Culture creates certainty. I like it. It creates love. Culture creates growth. Recognition and a sense of contribution build morale and a sense of purpose. But culture is critical because it creates a place where everyone executes their unique geniuses in the present, and everyone also stays focused on the future at the same time. A healthy culture also values transparency. Questions are embraced, not feared. The best companies create culture because leaders know this allows them to recruit the best employees. Talented employees gravitate to businesses with outstanding cultures because they know tools and resources are in place to help them flourish without negativity or distractions. Culture creates certainty. Culture creates love. Culture creates growth. Now, number 10 of our leadership principles: give people the resources they need to be successful. There's nothing worse in life than going into battle with the nagging feeling that you don't have enough of what you need to win the battle. That's like the Army and the Navy and the Army and the Marines giving out weapons but not giving out bullets. So you give out the weapons but not the ammunition. So as a leader, it's up to you to properly equip your troops so they feel confident about the challenges you're asking them to tackle. If they must worry about what they don't have, you put them in a very distinct disadvantage. Properly giving your people the resources they need is a battle you must fight before you ask them to do their part on your behalf. This is not a one-time deal. It needs to be a part of your culture. It needs to be a constant process. Resources are not only about training, coaching, supplies, equipment, tools, and an ample budget. You must also work hard at meeting people's basic human needs. When you understand that some employees need certainty, recognition, or growth opportunities, and you take the steps to meet those needs, you are giving your people important resources as well. Also, ask yourself what resources you need to be an effective leader. As a CEO, a parent, a coach, or in any other capacity, you need to make sure not to neglect your own resources and basic human needs. You'll undermine your effectiveness when you're not able to operate at peak capacity too. And now, leadership principle number 11 is to build a movement, which, if you're watching me on Facebook right now, you will know that Nina Moore and her team, Stanisha Moore, we are now what? Building a movement. Many of you reading this book want to be more than great leaders. You want to build a movement. Anybody else ready to build a movement? You want to create massive change on a large scale. Is there anybody else ready to build massive change on a large scale? As a reminder, people don't always want to have to believe. People don't always have to believe, rather, what you're saying. They only have to believe that you believe what you're saying. They don't have to believe what you're saying, but they have to believe that you believe what you're saying. However, you need to be persistent, repetitious, and evangelical in your efforts. How many of you went live today telling everybody about what you're getting ready to do? How many of you went live today about your movement? How many times a day did you go live? Because you've got to be persistent, repetitious, and evangelical in your efforts. When I was growing up, Tedra in Philadelphia, when I was growing up, Jason Jones, Marguerite, Keisha, there was a lady that used to be all over the subways. I'm not here to say that what she was doing was right or wrong, but let me tell you what this woman was famous for. She would be on the subways, walking up and down the subway saying, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. If you don't accept Jesus Christ, you're going to hell. You're going to hell. Every day, all day long, this woman walked up and down the trains, evangelizing what she believed. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. Jesus is coming. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. And she didn't care that she had been there earlier that day. She didn't care that she had been there the day before. She didn't care that she had been there the week before. But because she believed in this massive movement that hundreds of thousands of people would come to Christ, she was evangelizing every single day. Maybe some of y'all remember that lady that used to be with the billboards hanging all over her on the subways, y'all. So that is how we've got to get radical. If we say that we are creating and building a movement, we need to be persistent, repetitious, and evangelical in our efforts. Building a movement is a massive and ambitious undertaking. Strong leaders must allow people to see themselves inside the dream. Recognizing each person's unique gifts, meet people's basic needs, and set an inspirational example to have a chance at a favorable outcome. Building a movement takes time, but that movement will come toppling down like a house of sticks in a hurricane if you don't start by building a solid foundation and use the best available resources at your disposal. Being a one more leader is not easy, but when you learn how to apply these little leadership principles over time, you not only can propel your life to the highest possible level, you can also elevate the lives of others that you lead as well. Chapter 17 is one more degree of equanimity. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space, our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. One more degree of equanimity. To lead a blissful life, you must seek equanimity. Let's go ahead. Y'all already know. Before we go any further, let's see what the word equanimity means. Let's define it. Let's go ahead and define it. Y'all know I don't like us to just read words without not having a full understanding. Let's see what the definition is. One more degree of equanimity. This says to be blissful in life, you must seek equanimity. We're going to go look up the word seek as well, because equanimity is mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Runt row. Runt row. Everybody real quiet tonight. The chat is quiet tonight. Equanimity. So this book says to lead a blissful life, you must seek equanimity. We must seek mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Let's go see what the definition of the word seek is. Seek is to attempt to find something. So not only are we supposed to have equanimity, we're supposed to go look for it. We're supposed to make it happen. So when stuff is going crazy and numbers going crazy and people not answering your calls and the kids are acting crazy and your parents, my mom, you broke her knee and the and the cat and the dog and the we are still supposed to seek calmness, seek even in the midst of. In basic terms, equanimity is achieving serenity and mental calmness in a world filled with stressors. Nobody ever said that the world wasn't going to have stress. Nobody ever said that it was going to be easy. But the reality of it is what is there to stress about and to fall apart about if that can't fix it? Equanimity is achieving serenity and mental calmness in a world filled with stressors. But it's much more than that. Equanimity is the quiet glue that underpins a lot of the other ideas in this book. To reach the highest level of these strategies, you must do so with an advanced degree. With an advanced degree of equanimity. Not some little mediocre level of equanimity. No, an advanced degree. I am a strong proponent of equanimity, and I think that you should be too. The essence of equanimity originates from the Latin word equanimitas, right? Having an even mind. It is the result of combining acquiesce, which means even, and the animus, mind and soul. This is good stuff, y'all. Searching for an even mind and soul is an elusive virtue. People spend lifetimes in search of equanimity, me included. I've struggled to find calmness throughout my life. For me, finding equanimity is easier in low stress situations. However, it's a lot more valuable when I can summon it under duress. By better understanding what equanimity is, putting it into practice, my paths to success take less time and are more frequent and substantial. No, Kim, not balance. Not balance. This is really a decision that you find peace no matter what situation you're in. Equanimity is not balance. It is mental calmness and composure and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. It's not balance. Start with this fact. We can't control the vast majority of what goes on in our lives. Can I get an amen? We cannot control the vast majority of things that go on in our lives. We cannot control, we were on the highway today and there was an 18-wheeler riding beside us. And y'all know how the 18-wheelers have double wheels together? They have two wheels together, right? So it's like 2, 4, 6. They go back like that in sets of 2. Well, all of a sudden, we started seeing a ton of rubber along the road popping up. And I said, somebody's tire is busted somewhere. As we were going past the truck the inner tire of the 18-wheeler, one of the inner tires was busted. He didn't leave the house this morning thinking my tire gonna bust. He kept driving on the rotor. I don't know what he was thinking about. But I'm certain, Jason, I'm certain, Tedra, I'm certain, Cheryl, that in his mind, I got a load to drop off at a specific time. Nobody wakes up thinking, I'm going to fall in Walmart parking lot and break my knee today. Nobody wakes up thinking, like I did last November, that I was going to do a reel that was going to land me on my face and go viral all over social media, but then create sciatica nerve pain down my left side. No one wakes up thinking, and today is the day I'm going to get divorced or fired from my job or someone's going to pass away. But in the midst of it all, can you still have equanimity? Equanimity, which is mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, even in a difficult situation. And the book is saying, in order to have a blissful life, you must seek equanimity. When your kids are acting crazy, when your husband's acting crazy, when you get a bad report from the doctor, do you still have equanimity then? Because we're supposed to go seek it. Woo! Searching for an even mind and soul is an elusive virtue. People spend a lifetime in search of equanimity, right? He says, by better understanding what equanimity is and putting it into practice, my paths to success take less time. Did y'all just hear what he said? He just said, when you practice equanimity, your path to success takes less time. This is so good. It's the quiet glue to your overall success. And could it be because you can't find any mental calmness in the moments of duress, especially when it says, especially when there's a difficult situation? This is saying you want success and you want it faster, find equanimity. Practice equanimity and are more frequent. So your success not only takes less time, Jason, it's more frequent and substantial when you learn how to just start with this fact. We can't control the vast majority of what goes on in our lives. We can dream, we can set standards, we have goals, we adjust our thinking and our actions in a dozen different ways. What we can't do is control outcomes despite our best efforts. For many people, the natural response is disappointment, frustration, despair, and anger. Nobody is immune from those feelings at one time or another. But what if you could raise your awareness about other ways to condition your brain and your response to outside forces and outcomes? I'm going to say that one more time. But what if you could raise your awareness about other ways to condition your brain and your response to outside forces and outcomes? See, the way that we react right now is the way you've conditioned your brain. But you do realize that you can condition your brain a different way to respond a different way when stuff happens, because guess what? It's going to happen. It happens to you. It happens to me. Hello. It happens to everybody. You know, I was listening to something last week, and he said, when you look to your left, you might look at someone to your left and wish to God that you had what they have. But then as simple as looking to your right, you might then see somebody over there that wish they had what you had. The reality of it is everybody got something going on. But if you want success, you must do what? Seek equanimity. What we can't do, what we can't do is control outcomes despite our best efforts. For many people, the natural response is disappointment, frustration, despair, and anger. Nobody is immune from those feelings at one time or another. But what could you do? What if you could raise your awareness about other ways to condition your brain and your response to outside forces and outcomes? What if you didn't let setbacks negatively impact you? What if you rose above bad outcomes to a positive and rational mental state, impervious to those setbacks? That is the essence of equanimity. It's not balance, it's your choice to rise above it. And here's the deal, Kim. Has God delivered you out of everything you've ever been through in your life? Yay or nay? Mary Powell, has he delivered you out of everything? Bridget, has he delivered you out of everything, every point of your life? Then why in the world do we have to doubt? All things work together for the good of them that love God and are the called according to his purpose. If you believe that you are the called, then start seeking equanimity. And just know it's going to happen. When faced with a difficult situation, such as a stressful phone call, a poor meeting, a financial setback, or a relationship challenge, the highest achievers can find equanimity when others can't. Why do some elite performers rise to an even higher level in crunch time while others wilt? Equanimity is the invisible separator between super elite performers and those who are average and ordinary. That's what the book said. Don't be mad at me. I'm going to read it again. Equanimity is the invisible separator between the super elite performers and those who are average and ordinary. Ow! Now, here's the deal. I keep telling people that earn high income, it is because not that they're born with a different brain than you or they born with a different blood than you. And no. People who earn high income, it is because they know how to resolve matters quickly and rationally. They don't fall apart. So the more income you desire to earn, that means that you are able to manage challenges and people at the same time. But if you can't even manage yourself and your own challenges, who are you leading? Based on what the book says, you can't control you because you fall apart because I got so much going on. Who are you leading? Because you're showing people you aren't ready for upper level management. The book says equanimity is the invisible separator between super elite performers and those who are average and ordinary. Think of it this way. A lot of pitchers have an easier time striking out batters in the first inning with nobody on base versus facing a home run hitter with the bases loaded in the ninth. Golfers can sink putts all round long on a Thursday of a tournament. But many can use equanimity to sink a 20-footer on the 18th hole on Sunday to win by a stroke. If you're having a rough patch in your relationship, can you use equanimity to say the right thing that will bring the heat down instead of the wrong thing that will have you packing your bags 10 seconds later? Everyone can find degrees of equanimity most of the time. One of the things that separates them from high achievers is that high achievers can find equanimity when they need it most. See, high achievers aren't looking for an scapegoat. High achievers aren't looking for a pat on the back like, oh, I know you go. Everybody going through something. High achievers most times don't even want you to know that they're going through anything. They hide it because they don't focus on what they're going through. You know why, Alicia? Because they practice equanimity. Everyone can find, everyone, the book says, everyone can find degrees of equanimity most of the time. But one of the things that separates them from high achievers is that high achievers can find equanimity when they need it most. Equanimity is one of the world's oldest philosophies, and its elements are present in many religions. In Christianity, we often look to each other and say, "Peace be with you," or "The peace of Christ be with you." There are countless examples in the Bible. "The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace." Exodus 14 and 14. Either way, either way, either way, it is well. And we sing these songs like, when peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. So it's well with your soul when you're singing. But then when a problem arises, you can't find equanimity. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. Not as the world gives you, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled. And let not your heart be troubled, nor let it be fearful. John 14 and 27. So you believe in the good Father, many of you. And the word of God says, peace, my peace I give to you. God is saying, my peace I'm giving to you. So you don't even have to be troubled or fearful. What are you talking about? I got a lot going on. Oh, my bad. I have to start questioning when people say that a lot to me, because I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were a believer. I thought you were a child of the Most High. I'm sorry. But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Psalm 37 and 11. Equanimity is also woven into several Eastern Indian religions. For example, Hinduism also believes to abandon all attachments to success or failure. Elements of yoga teach that equanimity is attainable through regular meditation and mental disciplines that clear the mind and bring it closer to a healthy balance. Judaism places importance on equanimity as a necessary foundation for spiritual and moral development. The Gautama Buddha, a widely followed 5th century BC philosopher and spiritual teacher, described a mind filled with equanimity as abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility, and without ill will. Equanimity. Abundant, exalted, immeasurable. Equanimity. A few hundred years after his death, he simply became known as Buddha, which means awakened one or enlightened one. His teachings regarding Buddhism have been widely circulated as the philosophy's foundational beliefs. The Islamic religion has close ties to equanimity as well. The word Islam comes from the Arabic word aslama, which denotes the peace that comes from the total surrender and acceptance. Muslims trace this to God's ultimate wisdom, and many take it to mean that being a Muslim is aligned with being in a state of equanimity. Equanimity as a spiritual philosophy is one of humanity's deep-seated pillars. It's a spiritual belief that has been taught and praised for centuries before developing deeper into the individual elements of equanimity. It's necessary to recognize how it has been woven into society for millennia. The elements of equanimity. It's one thing to say that you should aim for one more level of equanimity. It's quite another to understand how you should get there. Like any challenge, begin by breaking a big concept like equanimity into smaller parts. That will add clarity and simplicity and make it easier to accept equanimity in its entirety. As you study equanimity and how it relates to your beliefs and religion, some elements of it may not resonate with you. I'm not going to give you overaching principles, but it's up to you to decide how to best approach your version of equanimity in a way that makes the most sense to you. Here are several key points to consider. Equanimity is finding serenity as you battle the challenges in your life. You're going to get tossed about. That's life. Let me say it again. Equanimity is finding serenity as you battle challenges in your life. You're going to get tossed about. That's life. And there's no hiding from it. While we can't control outside forces, we can be mindful of how we think and react to them. This awareness lets us quiet our minds. Serenity is about accepting that there are some things, hey, Rosa, there are some things, serenity is accepting there are some things, where am I at? About accepting that there are some things that we simply just cannot change. Finding serenity requires practice. Meditation towards equanimity requires that you consciously release preferences for or against all things. Your actions are guided more by your values and your virtues instead of your desires that are reactions to positive or negative feelings. Once again, let me read that last line again. Your actions are guided more by your values and virtues instead of your desires that are reactions to positive or negative feelings. So your desires are based on positive or negative feelings. However, your actions should be guided more by your values and virtues, not your desires. Equanimity is about recognizing impermanence. No matter what you recognize, no matter what is happening in your life right now, it won't last forever. Y'all write that in the chat. No matter what's going on in your life right now, it won't last forever. Go on. No matter what's going on in your life, it won't last forever. It won't last forever. Life is all about change and impermanence. When you recognize this, life is all about change. Life is all about change. Where's Sean Dunnigan? Life is all about change and impermanence. When you recognize this, you understand that good times and bad times will pass through your life. Let's go ahead and look up the word impermanence because I think it's important that we know what we're talking about. Right? Impermanence. Impermanence is the state or the fact of lasting for only a limited period of time. So, life is all about change and impermanence, temporary situations. That's what that means. Clinging to the good or the bad can only lead to pain. So, when you hear somebody always talking about what they did before and but that ain't the way we used to do it. And when we did X, Y, and Z, see, because back in the day, when we did X, Y, and Z, and we did that, clinging to the good or the bad can only lead to pain. It's easy to understand how hanging on to the bad creates pain. But recognize that when you hang on to the good, it can also be a source of pain when it leaves. I could definitely think about all the leaders that I helped earn 6 figures and $50,000, and I built both legs of their organizations, and I could still be talking about how I built 5 legs of business in another company, and what good does that do for me? All it does is teaches me that I am capable of doing it. Tedra, what it does is it helps me to remember my capacity. I don't have to keep rehearsing what I used to was. Because some of the good also brings back pain because I did things for people that they now kind of just give me they behind the kiss. So now you got to know. It says clinging to the good or the bad can only lead to pain. Equanimity is about doing away with permanence and the pain associated with it. Equanimity creates a space of awareness that lets every piece of stimulation come and go. Thoughts are just thoughts. Sounds are only sounds. People are just being themselves, and events are only events. Whatever has not killed you, this is not in the book, this is me, will only make you stronger. Equanimity reminds us of our insignificance. We often place way much too focus on ourselves. What the book says. We often place way too much focus on ourselves when we're able to come to grips that we're only one small part of the vast human condition. It liberates us from the pressures that we place on ourselves. Our fears shrink when we put them into perspective. We don't run from pain or avoid blame or loss with such vigor. We accept our state and work toward balance in our lives with added calmness. Equanimity is about letting go. Equanimity is about letting go. Equanimity is about letting go. If a challenge or a setback in your life is heavy, set it down. Let it go. Learn how to detach from negative beliefs, resentment, pain, and hurt. Why would you continue to carry something that is heavy, burdensome, or causes you pain? Let it go. Some of y'all can't move forward because somebody you was with, he left me and we not together no more now. And let it go. Equanimity is about letting go. And some of us focus so much on the way somebody said something because then that give us the right to not perform. That give us the right to be paralyzed. That give us the right to be mad. Let it go. That's what Ed Milet said in his book. Let it go. Right there. Equanimity is about letting go. One of the 4 noble truths proclaimed by Buddha is that attachment is the origin of suffering. Lord have mercy. Attachment is the origin of suffering. The attachment to the desire or the attachment to desire not to have something both create anxiety and fear. Letting go of both and accepting what comes into your life, good and bad, release us from the prison of our thoughts. Ajahn Chah, a 20th century Thai Buddhist monk, summarized it well when he said, if you let go a little, you will have a little peace. But if you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace. Equanimity embraces change. Instead of getting stuck in the status quo, recognize that your future lies in the winds of change, acceptance of change, which is inevitable, brings about peace. Fighting change is a waste of time. Fighting change, it says it in the book, is a waste of time. These concepts are only scratch the surface of what equanimity really is. If you're interested, I strongly encourage you to dig deeper. There are whole libraries on equanimity and how it is a fixture in so many cultures and religions. The more you know about equanimity, the greater your potential for one more level of equanimity in your life. As a part of further exploration, looking at the 8 worldly winds is an excellent place to start. So the 8 worldly winds. Buddhism has identified 4 sets. Let me look at the time. Ooh, 5 minutes, y'all. 4 sets. I was trying to get us through this chapter. Oh, we're going to finish 17. So then we only got 18 and 19. And hopefully we can get both of those done next week. And we'll be done. All right. The 8 worldly winds. Buddhism has identified 4 sets of the opposing states that exist in our lives. They are called the 8 worldly winds, sometimes known as the 8 worldly dharmas. They appear with various labels, but are generally accepted as pleasure and pain, praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and disgrace. The goal of equanimity is to lessen the effects that these winds have on your mind that occur to one extent or the other every day. Example of the 8 worldly winds might be: we fall madly in love only to find out that our lover has cheated on us. I've been there, did that, been there, did that. Our success can be exciting, but it can also lead to arrogance. Been there, did that. We get a big promotion at work only to have the company declare bankruptcy 6 months later. Well, I haven't been with it. I've been there, did that. I was working in a salon. I was paying my rent to the salon manager, the salon owner. She wasn't paying her rent. We have to get out of the shop in a week. Been there, did that. Got terminated from a company that I was in last Labor Day with no notice, with no email. Matter of fact, nobody even had the decency to tell me that I was terminated. I had to figure it out. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? How you get fired or terminated, don't even know you're terminated. And nobody even tells you that you're terminated. So been there, did that. Let me see. We root hard at sports for a sports hero or a famous musician and then discover that they have a severe drug problem, a criminal past, or they unexpectedly pass away, such as Kobe Bryant did. Been there, did that, felt the effects of that. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, we all felt it. We must balance good and bad so that while we recognize the good news, we also understand it isn't permanent. It isn't permanent. We accept that the world will balance things over time. In this way, we neither get too high or go too low when we react to these events. This isn't the way we shouldn't feel. This isn't to say that we shouldn't feel joy or happiness when something good happens. We just need to know how to put it into perspective. Are we going to feel pain? Yes, we're human beings, but you got to put it in perspective. You got to put it in perspective. You don't stay stuck, because equanimity says you let it go. Feel it, but you don't let it kill you. Feel it, but you don't let it kill you. Okay? Equanimity allows us to do that when we put it in perspective. Without equanimity, as a governor, going back and forth is exhausting. The goal is complete mental calmness. Sometimes we can reach that state, but since the pursuit of equanimity is a lifelong venture, we must refine our approach and course correct as we go. Be willing to pivot. All 8 worldly winds are teachers. From a spiritual point of view, we need all 8 in our lives. Without one half of the pair, the other ceases to exist or carries no meaning. However, too much preoccupation with the 8 worldly winds is considered a barrier to equanimity. So when you only are looking at the foolishness that's going on, it is now a barrier to your equanimity. You cannot have total mental calmness because you've too focused on what's going wrong. As if God ain't God. God don't need you to fix nothing. All of them are teachers from a spiritual point of view. We need all 8, okay? However, too much of the preoccupation of 8 worldly winds is considered a barrier. Being too caught up in them creates emotional instability. Being too caught up in the 8 worldly winds, which are pleasure and pain, praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and disgrace. Do you know how disgraced I was? Not only was I terminated, Tedra, but then the CEO had the nerve to do 2 lives about me and try to defame my character because he didn't want anybody to leave that company with me. So he went live to lie about me, not once, but twice. The CEO of that then company, that said company. Now, I could have chosen to not have equanimity, Tracy. I didn't bash. I didn't even defend myself while it was happening because I wasn't caught up in them, because I didn't want to create emotional instability. Equanimity attempts to steer a course down the middle of these pairs. It does not entirely fall in line with one side or the other. Equanimity accepts the reality of each wind without following it. The realization is that the winds are not permanent. And when they change, it's easier to respond with more flexibility. All the philosophy, this philosophy is well and good. However, you must decide what your relationship with equanimity now and it now will be now and in the future. Your relationship with equanimity. When it comes to equanimity, people generally fall into one of these 4 categories: aggressive and with equanimity, aggressive and lacking equanimity, passive with equanimity, passive and lacking equanimity. Of these, there's only one ideal state that you should target: to be aggressive with equanimity. If you're passive, equanimity won't help you much, other than to be a nagging part of your brain that reminds you that you're too laid back and calm to accomplish anything significant in your life. You must bring a certain level of tenacity to your life. You don't have to turn up to the to a certain level of tenacity to your life. You don't have to turn up the dial to 10 all the time, but you must lead a life where you get stuff done, period. I mentioned at the beginning of this chapter that I haven't always approached life with enough equanimity. I admit that I was such a hard charger that I threw my life out of balance, and I didn't even know it at the time. Sure, I got stuff done, and I made a lot of money, right? And I made a lot of money, but I paid a higher price than I needed by not practicing equanimity for years. The journey to equanimity does not happen overnight. As I learned, it requires years of being mindful and intentional in your thoughts and your actions. One more, thinkers also understand equanimity is not permanent. Equanimity is not permanent. Equanimity is not permanent. I'm going to say it again. Equanimity is not permanent. It is not permanent. Where we at? It's fleeting and will come and go as various challenges occur in your life. You will move between degrees of equanimity from day to day and moment to moment. My goal is to make sure that you don't go through life without enough equanimity, as I did. Find peace and mental calmness as soon as you can. Your relationship with equanimity is the force that makes many other good things possible in life. And that ends chapter 17, you guys. And I'm only 4 minutes past 7. We did good. We went through all the rest of 16 and chapter 17. And next week, we will start chapter 18, the power of one more prayer. The first gulp of the glass of natural science will make you an atheist, but at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go through chapter 18 and 19 next week, so come prepared. You may even want to take a look, if you have the book, go ahead and take a look at those 2 chapters, but we're going to try our best to go ahead and get through them. For those of you who were in Philadelphia with us, I'm hoping that you had safe travels home and that you are excited about what's to come in your life. Listen, many of us have the workbook. Hold on one second. Many of us have the workbook, and I would strongly encourage each and every one of you to work through your workbook. With the Power of One More is a book that you probably shouldn't just put down. All right. I would encourage you to put it down. I mean, to not put it down, to keep looking through that book. I believe there were some powerful breakthroughs. But we've got 2 more chapters and we'll be done next week. And then we're moving to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, I know my book looks way bigger than y'all's, right? But the writing in the print is so small in Think and Grow Rich, the original copy like this, that I ordered the large print because I read it to y'all. So I ordered the large print, which is why my book looks like it's way bigger than yours. All right, you guys. Listen, I love you guys, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I hope that you remember that no matter what you're going through in life, that you can live again, laugh again, hope again, dream again, and you most certainly can bling again. I want you to have a blingtastic day, a rest of your day. Maybe if you're on the West Coast, it's still early for you. Have a blingtastic rest of your evening and your week. Listen, pay it forward. Do a good deed. Be kind to one another, right? And practice equanimity so that we begin to make that a permanent fixture in our lives as we are all striving to have mental calmness, especially in the midst of tough times. All right, you guys. So remember to tell a friend to meet us here Mondays at 6 p.m. We will be finishing Ed Milet's Power of One More next week, you guys. It's been a ride. I can't wait to see you all next Monday. Good night and God bless you all.